As an angel investor, I always say, I'm not buying. I do not respect someone that doesn't try. And I think sometimes...
I think that's what keeps me going, because I can't lie, when you said about that businesses don't make it to the 2-year mark, I was like, I hear it, because December, I was ready to quit.
Hi, I'm Indy.
Hi, I'm Sawida.
And welcome to Visionaries in Progress. Hello, my name is Indy Love Gordon, and I am the founder of You Can. You Can is a phenomenal brand that focuses on helping founders achieve their wildest dreams. We focus on basically 3 pillars: helping founders grow, helping founders dream, and just helping founders excel. And we do that through many ways, but one of our biggest projects is called the 40% Club. It's the UK's first open mic pitch night. We are determined to empower generations of entrepreneurs to achieve their wildest dream.
Love that. Hi guys, my name is Sawida Magba-Kamara, and I am the founder of the Padi Network. The Padi Network is a community for Black female entrepreneurs and professionals, and we have 3 main pillars: to educate, empower and equip. And our main ethos is just to empower Black women to have equity in whatever space that they're in and be able to flourish in whatever they want to do. So whether that's through career pathways or whether that's through entrepreneurial pathways, we run a range of events. We focus on mentorship, resources, and just everything that we possibly can to empower, equip and educate Black women. Yeah, let's start with the first question. What was the reason you started your community? Like, what was the motivation behind starting it?
I started You Can because I come from a really entrepreneurial background. I think I'm really fortunate enough to come from a household where entrepreneurship and creativity was something my mum always championed. For her, dreaming big and achieving your dreams was really, really important. And so for me, I saw a lot of great role models when I was younger who spoke about all the great things they achieved, but they also spoke about how hard it was to get there. A lack of support, a lack of access, a lack of guidance. And then that then took me back to my mum, where all she ever did with support and guide and love and champion. She was the original OG community for me. Like, my creative brain would never have existed if it wasn't for her. Even when I delivered terrible things, and some of my things when I was younger was terrible, but she was always like, this is great, this is great.
Yeah,
you can do it, keep going, keep going. And so for me, I realized how I really wanted to serve people. That is actually my core mission in life.
Yeah.
And to serve people, I needed to build a community of people that both knew they could achieve, but also people that struggled to understand it. But what about you? What about you?
I think for me, it's really funny because when people asked me this question previously, I always say it was birthed out of my master's degree. And now I feel like my master's degree was a catalyst that actually pushed it to like the birthing stage. But I think I've always been an advocate. Like, it's just always been something that's naturally within me. Growing up in deep Kent as a young girl, like, I was always the only Black girl. I very much grew up as the only Black girl. And then I kind of found my community, formed my community. My best friend, who we're still best friends now, I met when we were like in year 8, year 9. She joined my school and we were like the 2 Black girls. And then it was like we joined Medway Youth Parliament and we started the Black History Month events for the council. And we were always advocating for community. And I was always really joined to community. I come from a family of 6 girls. So wow. I'm naturally just attracted to women in the fact that like I resonate with women. Like, I'm a girl's girl, like, really. And so when I did my master's in entrepreneurship and innovation management. And I did my thesis on Black female entrepreneurship and barriers to entry. And I interviewed amazing Black female entrepreneurs at different stages. And a lot of what every one of them said was that there was a lack of community, or the communities that were there, it was kind of a, you can't sit with us kind of vibe, or you can only be at a certain level to sit with us kind of vibe. And I was just like, all these women have all this information and all these amazing things and they want to share it, but there isn't really a natural place for them to. And even where they are sharing it, there's a big gap between where they're sharing it and where people can access it, because people like me are naturally curious. I run towards information. I'm constantly looking for it. But then there's people who maybe are a bit less proactive, and there's a case of like, okay, maybe they should be more proactive, but then also things should be more accessible. So I think that's where Padi Network, I really want to bridge that gap, and mentorship is a big part of it as well, because I think mentorship is so important and it's really lacking. And I also, sorry to talk so much, I also don't think that mentorship just comes from Black women. So my community is for Black women, but I want mentorship from all different demographics, because I think there are demographics that are willing to pour into us, but we need to go out and find it. So yeah, that.
You know what I really love about Padi Network as well is that you engage with everyone. I think sometimes with community, people assume that, okay, I have to, let's take me for example, I have to find a young Black girl, young millennial person to be my community. When in reality, you bring the older, more mature people, you bring the young people, you bring the tech people, the creative people, you bring them all together into one space where they are just powerful, beautiful, you know, impactful women where we can all learn together. And I really love that. And I think sometimes in communities we miss that. And I think pre-pandemic we were starting to see more of that. But I actually think the pandemic put us back into that bubble of you can only play with your own kind. But your community is like, no, we are all one, all the same. Let's come together. Because actually, it's so phenomenal to see an older Black person that has achieved great things, because regardless of what I've done, there's something I can learn from that. And you do that so well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I feel like it's so important. And I think that kind of really nicely segues into our next question of like, what does community mean to you, and what does it look like to you as well? Because I think it definitely is different for everyone.
Yeah, I love this question. I see community as anybody that has a shared vision and just really want to come together and work. As an angel investor, I always say, I'm not investing in the product, I'm investing in you. I'm becoming a part of your community. I'm becoming a part of your tribe. It's really important to me that anyone that's part of my community, they know that as much as they serve me, I'm probably going to work to serve them 10 times. So for me, part of community is a group of people that share a vision, but more so, they share an understanding that actually, in order to be great, we must go on that journey together. And it's like a ship. You have a captain, but actually the people that are really doing the work are the people that are they're moving the ship. The sails. Get a better analogy, Indy. Sailing the ship.
Steering
the ship. But in order to steer the ship, you actually have to do it in sync. Otherwise you won't move. And so for me, we're a community of people where we may have different visions of what we see, but we all know the end goal and we're trying to get there together.
I love that. I feel like I can't even match that definition, but I think for me, there's something that was coming to mind is pouring and being poured into. And I think that's so important in community. I say that like in friendship community and family community and entrepreneurship community, like there's times where I can pour and there's times where you might not be able to. There's times where you can pour and there's times where I might not be able to. And I think it's just that consistent, just like ebbs and flows of like pouring and being poured into. And I think what you said about Padi Network and it being so diverse, I think that makes the pouring so much more interesting as well, because there are certain things that you can pour into someone who's been in entrepreneurship for 20 years, and there's certain things that someone for 20 years has been in entrepreneurship can pour into someone that's just thinking about it or just launching into their careers. And I think I really struggled to niche down when it came to building the community, because everyone was like, oh, you need to choose one. And I was like, why? Because first of all, being a Black woman, we're multifaceted. Literally. And even though they may not have a business, they might be entrepreneurial in the businesses that they're in. So yeah, I think with the community part of things, it's really that pouring and being poured into. But also I think there's something in not just a shared vision, but also a shared struggle. Because I think when you have a shared struggle, there is this thing that kind of binds you together. I think I was watching, I don't know why, the image of the film, I don't know if you watched it recently, it came out, the 6888 film.
I haven't watched it
Oh
yet, but
my
I've seen
God.
so many clips of it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to
Yeah.
mentally prepare
Yeah.
myself to watch
And the
it.
thing is, it's a great movie. I wouldn't say it's the best movie, but there was something about the troupe of women coming together. And me and my sister watched it together. My sister doesn't cry. I cry at everything. Me and my sister were weeping. And it was nothing, it wasn't so much to do with, the film and everything, but it was that shared struggle.
You know, some of the biggest like cultures, communities, some of the biggest things to exist have been built off the back of that shared struggle and turning that
Exactly.
struggle into power and success
Exactly.
and might and courage.
Yeah.
And so I actually think a lot of the times when we're thinking about community, the majority of it is spent in stress.
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's true.
But I think the beauty of community is that even though it's spent in stress sometimes, the fact is we have people who are not alone.
Right.
Like,
and so it's shared, it's like burden shared.
exactly.
Yeah.
You share the load, you share the stress, you share everything. And actually you realize that community is, I love the term ride or die. I'm very much like someone that says, if I've made a commitment to you, I may not always be perfect, but I will absolutely do everything I can to support your growth and support your journey, because I'm a firm believer that if you succeed, I succeed.
Right.
Because actually one thing I want to teach within my community, that actually, you know, we are so powerful beyond measure, but we cannot do life alone.
100%.
It's really important that actually we recognize that in order to become a teacher, you have to first learn.
Yeah.
And so that's the point of community as well, is that we are both students but also teachers.
Right.
And we're creating that bigger and brighter future. I actually have a question for you. You know, you were talking about pouring in and you being poured into. I think we've already started to touch on it. Building a community, it is not an easy thing.
At all.
What have been some of the struggles you have faced in building a community? But actually, how did you come through those struggles as well?
Have I come through them?
That's a really good question.
That's a good question.
I love it.
Do you know what? I feel like I'm still in the initial phases of building my community. Like, Paddy's still a babe. We've been like, it will be 2 years this April, I think. Yeah. So praise God.
That's amazing, by the way, because statistics say that a lot of businesses don't even make it to the 2-year mark.
Right.
Especially post pandemic as well. So that is
I hear it.
phenomenal thriving.
I hear it. I think what has been the biggest struggle? I wouldn't say buy-in, but I would say consistency. Because I think in the world that we live in today, there's a lot of things pulling people in different directions. And I think when you're providing a space that's safe and, you know, you're providing things that you believe that people need, but people's needs are changing so much and so often, you can sometimes feel like you're chasing a goalpost that's constantly moving. And I think one of the things that I've done to kind of combat that is to look at myself, and it's one of the things that I'm planning on doing this year, because the end of last year was hard, but having a board of people that are bought into my vision that can help me stay in the vision.
Can I be on the board?
Oh girl, you're on the board. you're already there. She doesn't even know, but she's there. But it's like having a sounding board, because I already have my sounding board. Like, you are one of my sounding boards. I have other sounding boards where I'm speaking to people and I'm like, you know, this was my vision, but I feel like people want this, or this is my vision and I feel like the trajectory of things is going here, and I'm thinking more about events and rather than actually all of these things that I had originally in my head. But it's about going back to the original thing and trusting that the vision, I have evidence to back up my vision. Because one thing I do have is the research, and I'm working on getting my dissertation published, because it's actually research that is really necessary and it's really important. I think I have the research, I have the first-hand experience, I have people around me that have had the experiences, so I know what I'm providing is necessary. And I don't think that also separating myself from numbers coming to events, that means that the community is doing well, or that means the community's not, because the fruit of what comes out of my event, like you've spoken at one, but I always leave the end of my events thinking, wow, I'm supposed to do this. Like, there's a reason for this. Like, even if it's just one person that left this place completely changed and completely touched and completely receiving everything that they needed to, I'm doing what I need to do. So I think, I don't know if I really answered the question. There was a lot of things in there. There's layers, but I think really having people to be a sounding board and remain stuck in the vision that you have, but also being able to change that vision slightly when you know it needs to. And maybe not the vision, the execution of the vision can change, but I think the vision remains the same. So I think there's a lot more difficulties. There's the financial difficulties, there's the stress difficulties, there's the balancing 9 to 5 and building community and staying consistent. Another thing I would say for anyone else that's like thinking of building a community or having struggles is ask for help. Indy's been amazing. You are such a person who extends help, but I think not everyone does that. And some people are willing to help, but they just don't extend it. So sometimes you're drowning and you need a boat and you're like, I'm struggling, but no one's asking you for help. You have to be vocal. But yeah, in terms of like your community as well, like what have been the like biggest struggles and how have you been fighting them?
I really love what you said. It really resonated a lot with me, actually. And I actually think this is both a good and bad thing, but some of the hardest things I faced last year was building the community.
Yeah.
Not that there weren't people everywhere celebrating all the great things that are happening. There was, but I'm a firm believer. I really need it to be authentic.
Right.
And I don't know in this world if people are always authentic. So with the 40% Club, the entire thing is built on the premise of community. It's built on the premise of the people that say they care about you the most, putting their money where their mouth is, moving their feet, coming to watch you present something that is your baby. And so I kind of separate my community a little bit. I have the phenomenal rising star leaders that I support, and some of the hardest thing there, it's the core of my business really. It's me seeing greatness in them, but them not seeing it in themselves.
Right.
And actually it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because then I look at my mentors and I now fully understand
what they were going through.
Yeah, with me.
Yeah.
I'm a problem.
Yeah.
I am a troublemaker. And I still am. I'm definitely a work in progress. But I think for me, one of the biggest things I've realised is, there will be no feeling worse than regret.
Right.
Having a dream, having a goal, and not trying.
Yeah.
I respect people that try and fumble.
Yeah.
And try and fumble,
Yeah.
try and fumble, and then a little bit succeed, but then they fumble again.
Right.
And then they may fumble 10 more times, and then they succeed again until it's like they're blown up.
Right.
I respect that. I do not respect someone that doesn't try. And I think sometimes I see people get lost in their thoughts.
Right.
And so actually growing the community in that way is really hard, because then you have people that have one foot in. They want to be there. They want to be present. They want to grow, but they're not all in. And it's like, how do you encourage and motivate and inspire people to see past their own thinking and realize they can? I can only tell you so much how great you are.
Yeah.
How do I encourage them to truly start to believe in it?
Right.
So that's the first part for me. And it's an interesting thing because my community is growing quite rapidly, but I want the right people.
Yeah.
I want to give money, resource, and time to those that really want to achieve great things. And this isn't me saying you have to have it all together, because I don't even have it all together.
Girl.
But this is me saying you have to be so sure of yourself that when you do fail, you know you can get back up.
Right.
And as a born-again Christian, I believe that all of my strength comes from God.
Right.
And something I realized is that I can't do anything, but God can. And so you can't tell me nothing. I may post a weird TikTok video. My friends call me cringe sometimes, but I'm like, it don't matter.
Everyone was cringe until they were successful.
Thank you very
Everyone
much.
was. The funniest thing, have you seen like Dancing Idris?
Yeah.
He used to make like these real tapes of
Yes.
like acting. Oh my god, they were so bad. But he's now
Literally,
look at Snowfall.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Like, look
I'm
at
sure
him.
people were laughing at him, but look at him now. So,
Literally.
yeah.
So I'm a firm believer. I want my community of people that
Wow.
dream so big.
Yeah.
People look at them and be like, you can't do that.
No, I love it.
And then they don't even respond. They just do. And then they are.
Just move.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
And then I think the other part for me is, as I said, 40% Club is built up on community. In order for us to raise the fund, part of the fund comes from my company, and then the other part of the fund comes from the community.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this. I need you all, everyone that is listening to this, to go and support your people.
Support your people.
Support your people. Okay? I'm talking to you right now. You have people in your life that are actively working, going above and beyond to achieve their dreams.
It's so true.
Do you know how hard it is to step on a stage and share your dream? The least you could do is show up and show out for them.
Right. No, I hear that. I'm going to ask a question. I just wanted to hear your opinion because of the things that you've been saying about supporting and like our communities. What's your opinion of the vein that America's better at this? And how can we lean into that? Like, what do they have that we don't have? Because even like going to New York, like I just came from New York, and just even the openness of people and the way that they speak to you. Like, they see a stranger on the street, she looks good. I was having brunch, and a girl came, she sat at my table and she went, "You are so beautiful."
Which like, you are.
That would not happen in London. Like, they'll just be staring at you in the corner of your eye. I mean, I'm one thing about me, I'm going to give a girl a compliment. I don't care. And I love giving random people compliments because I just like how they just walk off smiling. But it's not the norm, especially not in London. I would say in the wider UK, we're a bit more friendly, you know. But that community piece of things, like America does entrepreneurship really, really well. And I feel like they get buy-in a lot. So what's your view of that? And like, what do you think we can take from that, like in the UK?
The thing about the States is that they're very much unapologetic about everything.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship funding is there's no cap. There's no boundaries to funding and entrepreneurship in the United States of America, which makes it 10 times easier to develop something and then tomorrow get funding for it or build a community for it. In the UK, we have more laws and rules around investment, around entrepreneurship, around building communities, and what that looks like from a financial perspective, so it makes things significantly harder. But one thing English people actually do is they cross over the pond and they go to America and they're like,
they do.
I'm gonna go and build my community in America then.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you see how quickly their brand and their businesses grow because actually they've gone across the pond. But then the country is losing valuable resources, it's losing creativity, it's losing it all because it just feels hard here. It feels very, very hard. And so Americans are very, very good at just saying what they need. And that's why it's really important that when we build these communities, we're giving the community a unified voice. And the unified voice is, I've built something phenomenal and you should pay for it. Or I've built this community and you should encourage us and celebrate us. And we need to do that more. So with everything you're doing with Padi Network, like if I was to give you any piece of advice, you need to be so much bolder than what you're being right now. You need to pretend every day that I have seen nothing and I know nothing about your great community and how you've built them, and you need to throw that in my face because one of two things will happen. I will either mute you.
Please don't mute me.
I won't mute you. Or I will just go harder for you. Even if I do mute you though, they weren't the right person to join your community.
True. It's so true.
That's the thing about America is that the communities that are out there, they are the right people. The community doesn't go to the people go to the community, and that's what you want. You need to just talk about what you do and how you do it and let the right people come to you. And that's what Americans are good at.
They are,
So that's what we need to do better at.
No, definitely.
What has been one of your biggest successes in terms of building a community?
Do you know what? I think for me, it always comes back to the people. It always comes back to the impact in people's lives. And I think, like you said, we have such a different range of people that come to our events, like different demographics. We've got, women that are, much older, women that are a lot younger. And I think at the end of the events, where not even during, like a lot of the events, I don't know why, we always get people crying. And I'm like, please don't cry. But there's just this safety. There's this safety that we've created in Padi where people come into the room and they feel accepted, they feel loved, they feel like they have a voice, they feel heard, and they feel like the people speaking to them when we have speakers or when we have like our brunches where it's just the women together, they feel heard. And they feel like there's actually value being given onto them. And I think that that's really, really great. Like, I'm not I'm not even at that stage yet where it's more than 100 people that I can say come to the event every single time. But even the smaller number of people that come and they will dedicate their time and their hard-earned money to come to some of our paid events, it's like they're coming because they know that they've received something before and they're gonna receive something again. And I think that's what keeps me going, because I can't lie, when you said about that businesses don't make it to the 2-year mark, I was like, I hear it, because December I was ready to quit. I said, yeah, no. I said, God, you see this vision that you gave me, this thing that you gave me, get somebody else to do it.
I do not want to be on your strongest warriors list. Take me off.
But then when I think of those moments and I think of the fact that I'm uniquely me, and I think another thing we don't do well in the UK is bigging ourselves up. Like, we feel like we're being arrogant, but it's not arrogance, it's the grace that I have. I'm not Indie, you're not me, we will never be the same, but the grace that we have for the people that we're called to is so unique. And I feel like the uniqueness that I have for this business, the passion that I have, I know that God gave it to me for a reason. I know that this is the reason why I'm doing it. So I think it just brings me so much joy to do something that comes so natural and that I see make a tangible difference in people's lives. And I see that safety and I see that authenticity. When you use the word authentic, I smiled because that is my favorite word. Everyone will tell you I love that word, because there's just something about authentic safety and authentic spaces that when you create them, I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just who I am, and it's just the people that I attract. And so I absolutely love that. And that just makes me so happy. And that keeps me going. Like, it keeps me going, keeps my 2 foot in, because I know we don't do 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but whenever that second foot tries to go, that's the thing that keeps it in. So yeah, that's really for me like the driving factor and the thing that really just brings me like joy. But yeah, what about you?
I love that. I think for me, I know my purpose. I'm a servant.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I do in this world, I'm a servant. However, if I'm being so granular and so basic, for me, it's the money. Yeah. Not the money I'm making, because I am not making money.
Yeah. Yet.
But it's the money that is made, that is given to my dreamers.
Yeah.
And I refer to my entrepreneurs, my leaders, anyone that is a part of what I do as a dreamer. I think about the first ever 40% club I ran, and I think about the impact. £1,200 feels like a small thing to some people, but to someone in the right moment at the right time, that is an obscene amount of money that can really change a lot for you.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that money, the resources, the time have such a profound impact on someone's life, on their journey in building their dreams, that to me was breathtaking.
Yeah.
And so for me, all of my successes come from seeing the people thriving.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest success within that is then seeing that pattern and that behavior replicated from that person, that dreamer that I supported into someone else. I want that
forward.
I want that 360 effect. And so it's that ecosystem of, I am one person and I am not perfect, but there is so many of us that have grown. And now we are going to become teachers. And so that is successful community to me, and I've seen that so much in my community. And if I can continue to do that, then everything I've done is successful. I just need more sponsors. You're out there?
No, I hear it.
Indie Love Gordon.
LinkedIn. Get us on it. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, this is a good one. What would you tell someone who's at the beginning of journey trying to build a community?
So I have a favourite poem. I'm not going to say the whole poem. I'm going to say the first couple of lines. And this poem really inspires me. But the first 2 lines are, our deepest fears are not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fears are that we are powerful beyond measure. The reason I love that so much is because one thing I've learned is that we sometimes doubt ourselves thinking we can't. But I actually think a lot of people, when I pay attention to them, they know they can. They're just really scared to do so.
Speak on it.
And I want to challenge people. I'm not even answering your question, but I want to really challenge people to achieve and be the versions of themselves that they are clearly so scared to be because they don't know. They're so fearful of who and how powerful they could be. What was your question again?
What would you tell someone who's like at the beginning of starting a community?
I personally think you need to at least understand yourself before you can build a community. And I think it starts with that, understanding the power that you have. Why do you want to build a community?
Yeah.
And actually, I think, we've spoken about, you finding out how much you loved people when you're doing your master's time, and me, like, just being a nosy person and wanting to help people. But actually, sometimes for people, there are very specific reasons. A lot of communities are birthed from loneliness. A lot of people, communities are birthed from certain situations.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
Understand your need. Understand what you need, but also what you want to give. And find your people.
Yeah.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
It really, really does start with you as a human being. But what about you? What do you think?
Similar to what you were saying, I say be audacious. Like, be audacious in your pursuit of what it is that you're trying to achieve. Building a community and building a community as a business are two different things, because you can just have a community, and a lot of the communities that we see recently, they're growing organically into communities, into business communities. And I think that has made a lot of people run to the idea of community, which I don't think is right. I think it has to be authentic. You have to have a reason that you're starting the community. And I think then it will naturally grow, and then it will naturally, the people will be brought to it, and then you can create a business that can come out of it. I don't think necessarily you shouldn't have the intention from the beginning to make it a business, because, we're all trying to eat.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, what need are you serving? What are you pouring out, and what do you need to be poured into, similarly to what you said? And I think look around you, because most of the time when you're starting a community, it's out of a community that already exists or that you already have. Like, so me, I had a community of Black women and entrepreneurs and professionals that we were all kind of seeking for the same thing. We were all curious about the same thing. We all wanted the same thing. And mentorship is a big part of it. And, we're going to be launching our mentorship this year, which I'm really excited about. But there was that need, and there was that hunger from a lot of people that I already knew, and I'd already had conversations. So validate your idea. Just start validating your idea. And I think it's critical what you said about just starting. I think it's really scary, and I don't think I've necessarily got over that fear yet. Like, I'm still...
You never really will.
Yeah.
No, I haven't even gotten over it.
Exactly.
You know why that is, though? It's because, again, you have something that is yours, and you do not want people to judge you for it, or tell you it's not good enough, or mock
and I
you
also
for
think
it.
the responsibility of success or failure, because, again,
It's
like,
public now.
Yeah. And being a Christian, like, obviously I know that, okay, if I fail, God, that's that's your business. But at the same time, it's more so like, if this thing fails, it was my fault.
But no, you can't think
That's how
like
it
that.
feels. Yeah.
Because the thing is, one thing we also have to recognize is that in order to build a community, they have to see the struggles as well. Especially within the UK, we are not good at showing the hard parts. All we do is talk about, oh, I've made X amount of money, I've got 10 million community members. Do you know how hard it is to build a community?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to have people? It's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So, and nothing has to be failure unless you want it to be. It's just a lesson.
That's so true.
And again, the right people in your community won't judge you.
Right.
And I want to touch upon this quickly in terms of community in business. One thing I try and tell every entrepreneur I work with is that even if you're building a community for your business, it's you they're going to buy into first.
Right.
If I don't know you, why should I engage with your product?
Yeah.
Like, what am I buying into?
Yeah.
Even with what I do in 40% Club, there are variations of what I do anywhere. But you want to come because Indie Love Gordon is phenomenal. So, and I have taken time before I got to 40% Club
to build your brand.
Build my brand. So people know me and they know the value of what I bring.
Yeah.
And so tell that story before you even start to build your business. And I think you're doing a really good job of that. And I know you're introducing loads of sections to your business. Yeah. But actually, as we wrap up, one thing I did want to ask is, do you have any cool 2025 goals coming up? You mentioned one a moment ago. Well, tell us more. Also, what else?
I will. Before I launch into answering that question, before we quickly wrap up, I wanted to add to that. My favourite saying, all my friends will say, like, I'm always saying this, don't negate process. One story I can, whether you're Christian, not Christian, like I know a lot of people knew this story growing up, is the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph's journey, right, is just the epitome of don't negate process. Like he learned everything in that process. Not all of it was intentional wherever he was, but I think process is so important. So my goals for 2025, or more so what Padi Network will be up to in 2025, we're definitely going to start our mentoring cohorts in 2025. So we're going to have a mix of people mentoring Black female entrepreneurs and professionals in their different streams. And so I'm really, really excited for that. And if any of you want to sign up to be a mentor or you'd like to be a mentee, then please do get in touch. We're going to be having some events, so I'm really looking forward to that, and really just growing the community and being more bold, as Indy's told us, being more bold, growing the community, getting some partnerships. I think that's one thing that is really, really on my goals list for Paddy this year, because I'm tired of spending my own money. I'm tired of spending, and I need help. I need help. But what about you?
Oh, I am busy in books.
Yes.
Hallelujah. There is so much happening with 40% Club, but more so you can as a brand. So 40% Club has so many pitching competitions happening throughout the year, which I'm excited about, and it's open to everybody, and I want people to apply. We are literally redoing our website just so that we can cater to the growth and being able to empower as many early stage founders as possible. So if you have a business idea and you want to make some money,
come on over.
So that's one of the first great things that's happening. And later this year, we have a new initiative that will be launching. It's called The Deep. And the best way I can describe it, it's a TED Talk style event. But instead of it being on specific kind of like subjects that, you know, people stand up and talk about, we are going to be looking at resilience from a really deep and bold space.
Love this.
So we are inviting phenomenal people that have achieved insane things but have also gone through massive struggle and pain to get to where they are, to come and tell their story. It's an immersive experience where some of it focuses on just sound or just sight and smell, but the aim is that you're going to be a bit uncomfortable, but you're going to learn and you're going to change. I'm really excited for us.
I'm super excited. It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a
great year, honestly. And I just think that, you know, the one thing that I'll say is that if you want to do something, just as Indy said, just go for it. Like, failure is part of the journey, but I love what you said about you choose what is failure. Like, it can just be a lesson. So I think, like 2024 was an interesting year, but it was a year of growth. And we've both done phenomenal things. Like, we really, really have. Like, watching your journey, 40%, like, I think it's amazing. I think it's going to be huge, like absolutely huge.
Thank you. And if you need help, you have Padi Network.
Yes.
And you have the You Can brand that can support you. So you don't have to grow alone.
Yes.
We already have communities to help you.
Right, exactly.
That was great.
So much. That was so
Let me take a quick picture of you guys while we
fun.
pack up.
Yes, of course.